Welcome, everybody, to the Black and White History Podcast. We are your hosts, Christian and drumroll.
You know,
No, not even a drumroll.
no. A man only has a certain number of heartbeats in his life, and it'd be a shame to waste any of them on exercise.
Is that a foreshadow of who we're talking about?
Yes, he said it.
Yeah, did he?
He did.
Oh, okay.
He did. I'm Jordan.
Yeah,
I didn't say it.
we have we have a president that obviously, up until about 5 minutes ago, everything I've read, watched, listened to, always has to state the fact that is no longer relevant.
Oh, yeah.
All of history has now changed because the only thing he's really remembered for, of just like the simple folk who kind of know history, is he's the only president to serve two non-consecutive turns. Every single thing about him
we know history.
has to mention that, and now it means nothing.
It means nothing. It never meant it. Well, it did mean something before. It was.
It's just the asterisk of, he's the oldest president.
Yeah.
It's like the step above one of those just fun fact things, because it is interesting.
It's bar trivia.
Yeah.
It's something that basically no one knows, but like a modicum of research on any other president except like the 9 everyone knows. It's like Grover Cleveland is the first president to non-consecutive terms. And then history changed.
And now, yeah, it's funny.
Uncle Jumbo's back in town.
Yeah. No, it's a weird fact. It's kind of, it's, at least in my opinion, it's a little unfortunate that fact kind of overshadows his entire presidency.
Yeah, he's
kind of based.
Yeah. He won a non-consecutive term. Yeah. Married a 21-year-old. I mean, how much more base can you get?
Well, it's like, the only reason why, up to this point, from 1956 to now 1856 to 1884, it's just been all Republicans.
Straight Republicans.
Yeah. Andrew Johnson's the only caveat, but he was a vice president.
And no one likes him.
Yeah. So it doesn't count. He wasn't elected.
Right.
So it's just been Republican over and over and over and over. And it's mainly because of the Civil War issue and just the race issue thing. And so you finally have someone who is like pretty fiscally conservative.
He's comparatively, he's extremely fiscally conservative.
Pretty tough on crime, like a good businessman.
Yeah, anti-corruption.
Yeah, all that stuff. But it's like he doesn't have the slavery thing under him that just squashes all that.
Yeah.
So it
was a perfect time for him because he, like you said, the slavery, Civil War, Reconstruction thing has well and truly petered out at this point. I mean, everyone on both sides. I mean, you have some Republican holdouts who still like, no, we need to. But after Grant, it was pretty much done. And so you don't have that being like the litmus test for, federal control and states versus, the federal government and Congress and all that stuff. It's a different set of issues, which is, it's refreshing in a way. I mean, at least for us and maybe for you guys as listeners too, because we've been talking about slavery and the Civil War and Reconstruction for like 9 episodes now.
Yeah.
And for them, it was 70, 80 years. Mm-hmm. So, and sometimes even before that. So it's the country has changed fundamentally from where it was pre-Lincoln to where it is now, in 1884 or 1883, basically. So it has different issues. It has different bad guys now.
Yeah.
And different ways that we haven't really seen politics. It's like the transition from statesman to politician, where, like you said a couple times, like, oh, you don't seek the presidency seeks you. The people want you to run because you are a man of the people and you have political acumen and you have great ideas. And now it's more the politician. It's more like who you know and who you can schmooze and less about the things that you believe. But people like Grover Cleveland are really kind of that middle ground where it's starting to transition, where we're not so far away from the statesman era where people are like, oh yeah, we expect all politicians to lie and be scumbags. It's like, no, some of them are, but some of them are good and we should try to get the good ones. To now where it's like, hey, no, they're going to change their minds. They're going to say something and do something completely different and act like they never said that. So Cleveland is an anomaly, and he's in a transitionary time where the country is very modern, very industrialized, railroads, factories, shipping, infrastructure, all that good stuff is roaring and booming. The economy's not so great, but it is for a few people. And yeah, he's kind of a slow and steady, like steadfast kind of, almost like not like Andrew Johnson, but almost like him, where he is like, no, I'm just doing this.
Yeah.
Dang it, he's like John Adams. I'm just doing this. This is just what I believe. Like, no, we're not going to spend money on this.
Just biggest enemy, in case you're new.
It's John Adams.
Yeah.
Because he's such a
President
wimp.
he loves to hate.
He's just a wimpy, oh, John Adams with my little glasses. No, I'm sick of it. So, yeah, Grover Cleveland, basically, we should start with his background.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting.
Yeah. So, obviously, Northern Democrat from New York. Kind of similar with, starting to see more like Chester Arthur. Was right before him. He was born in New Jersey, but he spent most of his career in New York.
Forget about it. It's about the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boom, assassinated by New Jersey or New York.
Yeah.
Probably New Jersey if anyone's going to do it.
Real trained lawyer. And then from then on, he has a really insane uphill sprint to not like uphill battle, but like he just goes.
It's a meteoric rise.
Yeah, a meteoric rise.
He ascended very, very quickly, which for someone whose nickname is Uncle Jumbo is funny to think of. Oh, I gotta get to the presidency. Although he didn't want to become president. Like, he never sought out the office. He was...
We started off with as a sheriff.
Yep, he was the sheriff of Erie County, and he hung a bunch of people. Yeah. Well, not a bunch, at least two. And then he became governor.
Yeah, he was a mayor.
Oh, yeah, he was mayor of Buffalo.
Only like a couple years, and then he became governor for about a year, and then he became president. Yeah. So we just listed 3 major offices in the span of 5 years. Like, that's how quick.
Yeah. Like, imagine Andrew Cuomo was maybe don't, but like he was the chief of not even the chief of NYPD, but like the sheriff of like whatever county New York is in, whatever, it doesn't matter. Local elected office, statewide office. Like, you skip state Congress, you're not even a senator. So local elected office, statewide elected office, and then national office. You skip like the middle parts that everyone hangs out in for at least a couple years. Like, you got to focus test you and see, like, what are you going to do? But I think the reason why he rose so quickly is kind of like almost like a Garfield type thing, where they just looked around and said, well, this dude's dry as hell, but he does what he says he's going to do. And I mean,
there wasn't actually many other in the primaries and stuff.
No,
pretty much just zeroed in on him. The Republican side, we can kind of start getting into now, was a whole other story. There was a big pool of different contenders, but eventually they pick each other off until you get down to James Blaine.
Who?
Which is
exactly.
He's less of a meme than we've made Henry Clay out to be, but just kind of another one of those, like he's always around. Yeah. I mean,
another Dick Cheney.
A House of Representative. And he was ran for president multiple times, including when James Garfield's presidency, and then which he was kind of expected to just be the nominee for it anyway until James Garfield came. Watch our episode on that. But yes, Senator of Maine. He was the House leader, and
that's pretty.
So yeah, he's just kind of one of those. Yeah, it's like today if let's see, instead of like a modern example, not a Henry Clay example, Rand Paul's not a bad. Because he's ran for president multiple times, and he's been senator, and he's kind of always been in the forefront of the pack.
Okay, Rand Paul, and he's in senior leadership. I don't think he's the majority leader for the Republicans, but if he were the majority leader, he's on a bunch of he's on a bunch of committees that are really important. So he's very powerful as far as a representative.
Kind of one of those just career politicians.
He is
always going where he can end up.
It's the Pauls, man.
So anyway, he ends up being the Republican nominee, and then it's the campaign. I don't know if you saw much of the campaign. I've been zeroing in these campaigns lately. The last few episodes,
they've started.
We're getting into modern politics stuff, where it's like we're also starting to see a big rise in media, and paparazzi is now starting to come about, and
they got like big camera rigs.
Yeah, right. No, that there's stuff where they were hiding in trees and trying to stuff. Really, the stereotypical TMZ kind of thing is now starting to happen.
That's funny. Yeah, there was that their October surprise. I don't know if it was in October.
There's a few big things like
the biggest one that I came across was his bastard child.
Yes. Yeah.
And he just was sort of like, I don't know, probably.
Yeah. No. I mean, we'll go ahead and get into that.
Yes.
So, Chester Arthur is president. He's choosing not to run. So now we got James Blaine and we have Chester Arthur, and like I said, it's starting to get into more modern politics, and it's trying to out scandal the other one, basically. And part of the reason for this is because both of the candidates basically agree on everything. So there's no big crazy, like, I want to do this crazy.
I'm going to give women the right to vote.
Yeah, or this big, we're going to strip all black people of their vote and like some extreme thing, or we're going to tariff everybody to the heavens. Like, it's kind of like they're pretty much in the middle. So in order to, like, what do you do? Well, this guy did this awful scandal thing. Well, he did this awful scandal thing. And so it's not about policy, it's about personality more. And so this is also kind of starting, like I said, we're starting to see that come to fruition now of how we know it today.
Yeah, it's a statesman versus politician.
Yeah. So his big scandal that comes out for Cleveland is before he was even in politics, he had an illegitimate child. And the child ended up getting put to adoption, but he was still secretly sending the family money and everything for it. And there's like a couple of things, like the mistress that he had was clinically insane, but there's like conflicting reports of that, and like if she was coerced into giving away the child, or if she also like didn't want to carry the burden of raising a child. So it's kind of the point is, it was not, he got someone pregnant out of wedlock. And I mean, with how innocent the times were back then, that kind of stuff.
That's a big old deal.
Yeah.
It's like no. And his response was like, yep.
Yeah. When that came out, he admitted to it and didn't try to hide it, didn't deny it, didn't try to, and that ended up blowing up in the Republicans' face, because a lot of people liked him more because of that. Yeah. And it's kind of because they're just going back trying to scandal the other one more, just to hear Grover just say, yeah, you got me on that one. This is true, and this is the best I can do. Like, I was not in a position to take care of a child. At least I didn't abandon it. Like, I'm still sending him money and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not an honorable thing necessarily. Like, he's not proud of it, but also, like, especially in this era where everyone is bought and paid for, everyone's corrupt. Like, some people are even openly taking bribes, to have some dude just be like, yeah, I did the bad thing. Can we talk about something else now? And it's like, oh. And it kind of, modern politicians should kind of take, well, I mean, they won't, but, the fastest way to put out a fire is to starve it of oxygen. And if you just go back and forth with people about, like, oh, well, you did that, so it doesn't take away from the bad thing that you did to say that they did a equally or worse bad thing. Just saying, yeah, I did that thing, and that's not, and I wouldn't recommend anyone do that thing. But we're here to talk about politics, not about me necessarily. So like, it makes you look like the adult in the room.
Well, and because both of them were pretty, Blaine and Cleveland were very anti-corruption candidates. And so it's like, oh, well, what do we got that was corruptible on them? So what the Democrats throw at Blaine is, he did take a lot of under the table trading for lands with railroad companies that he got passed through Congress and everything, and then which he did deny that happened. And then there was what was known as the Mulligan letters come out in response to that, where you have this clerk who has all the letters of all this happening, the backdoor deals, and he has letters of Blaine saying, hey, can we please get rid of all this? Like, I don't want this to get exposed and everything. So that also comes out.
Well,
so you compare that to Grover Cleveland just owning it. And then you have this was the tried and true, like pretty much the second October surprise, which was just literally a few weeks, like actually in October. Ooh. And it's, this one's not even really fair on Blaine, but it is what it is. He attended this Republican rally, and in it was a Presbyterian preacher by the name of Samuel Burchard. And he's up there, and they're all kind of like, we don't want the Democrats to win because we're... Well, one of the things he says is that the Democrats are the party of Romanism and rebellion.
Oh, like Catholics?
Yeah. So obviously Rum saying they're all there's a lot of prohibition people on the Republican side, so it was kind of trying to get favored with them. And so like they're just a bunch of drunks and stuff. And also they're rebels because they seceded from the Union and everything. But it's kind of like, whatever, that's just, doesn't really mean anything anymore. It's like calling someone a Nazi today, basically. Yeah.
It's like, that's not that. Sure, okay.
Yeah. And then, but the Romanism one was an anti-Catholic slur, basically, and it ended up making a lot of Catholics, specifically in New York,
Yeah,
New Jersey,
all the Irish,
Massachusetts,
the
where all the
millions
Irish
of
are.
Irish that have immigrated in the past
Yeah.
40 years. Yeah, that's not great.
So they end up, especially in New York, favoring Cleveland.
He's
a
from
ton.
New York.
And he's from New York, so he needs to win that state. It's 34 electoral votes
That's
that
a
New
massive.
York has.
That's a massive
Yeah.
electoral.
And it really does come down to that state, basically, as we're going to see a pattern here through this whole episode. And so he ends up winning his state, but he really only won it by about 1,000 votes.
Yep.
So if he
One
did it,
one Irish family.
yeah. But the thing is, it's like Blaine got in trouble for that. But he had went on record saying he doesn't even like he wasn't paying attention when Samuel Burchard was talking, or he doesn't like remember it, or he thought, but it kind of got pinned on him regardless. Like he was the one. So it's kind of a dumb thing. It only came out because it was it wasn't an open rally. It was kind of like an RNC type of thing.
Sure.
But there was a Democratic representative there
Well, of course there
that
is.
heard it and then exposed it. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm against all this Roman popery just as much as the next guy, but you can't say stuff like that out loud in mixed company.
yeah, I guess we can say, since we're on a roll with modern examples, it was the 1880s version of deplorables.
Oh,
We'll say that.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So, but again, one side of that issue tried to downplay it like it didn't happen, and the other side of the issue said, "Yeah, I said that, and I wouldn't have said it in mixed company. It was a blah 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 blah." And I mean, who became president? There you go.
Yeah, okay. Let's bring up the map real quick. And then...
Let's move past this. Yep.
So he wins. So it's 219 to 182. If he lost New York,
He would have lost.
He would have lost. It came down to that. So pretty close.
0.5%.
Obviously, you have the South is gonna. We're now officially in that era of just the South voting one way. So it really comes down to just a couple swing states, which Indiana is one of them, and New York. So yeah. So now we have Grover Cleveland as president.
So yeah, I think one of the, like we said, Grover Cleveland was painfully boring, and he's a lawyer. He's a New York lawyer. He's painfully boring. He's kind of like an abrasive sort of like, well, we're not going to do that, and that's just that. Yeah, I had an illegitimate child. What of it? Like, it's not in like a dismissive kind of way, but in a like, yeah, this is what I believe. This is what we're going to do. So he campaigned. He believed in civil service reform. So the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act, he really embraced that, and he expanded it.
Yeah, we talked about it last episode, but just briefly.
Yeah.
Explain it
So,
quickly.
I mean, basically, civil service, like government service, in the past 30 years from this point has been, well, maybe like, 30. It has been really like, they call it the spoil system or the patronage system. So if I want to get something from you, I'm going to give your son a job in the federal government with a nice steady paycheck where he just sits at a desk and sort of, I don't know, he stamps a bunch of stuff for 40 years and then he gets a pension. It's a cushy government job. He didn't earn it. He's not particularly good at it, but I'm going to trade federal jobs paid for by taxpayer money to whoever, not because they're good at it, but because I want something from you for that. And at first it's like, that probably had happened before, but it was not like a systematic thing where everyone did it. At this point, like right before Cleveland, like it was rampant, and people knew that it was happening, and they didn't like it because this is taxpayer money, and like I want the government to be at least somewhat competent, or whatever. I don't want just all of my money. You're going to increase my taxes, you're going to raise tariffs, or you're going to do all this stuff, and take that money and just give it to Jim Bob's cousin because you wanted him to become some elected official and have even more power over me and take even more of my tax money. Like, I don't want that. So it became popular to want to reform civil service, and Garfield was really the first one who talked about doing that. He got elected. He got elected wanting to reform it.
Yeah, and part of it. So Tammany Hall was in New York.
In New York, that was the Democratic seat of power.
Yeah, so that was a very zeroed in, not just the federal government version, but just a really zeroed in just in New York.
If you want to get elected, you go to Tammany Hall, you grease some palms, and there you go.
Literally paying for votes, so they would have scouters go out and be like, "Hey, I'll give you $2 if you vote for
$2 is more money than I've ever seen in my entire life."
Yeah, and then they just take you to a voting booth and then make sure that you voted for the person, and then that's it. And then
They'll go to the old folks' home and fill out the ballot for you. All you have to do is sign it.
Yeah.
What? Anyways.
Yeah,
Cut that.
Not quite at the auto pen yet, but
Cut that. But yeah, Grover Cleveland.
so yeah, he basically tries to shatter that as much.
And it kind of was an end
As he
around.
can,
Well,
like,
you know,
whatever.
it's a massive institution, and he had some success at it, mostly because he's from New York. He's a Democrat, so like they don't think he's really gonna like take a sledgehammer to it, and he tries to, but like I said, it's one guy swinging a hammer, and his power is limited. I mean, you can't infringe on public, or you can't infringe on private like gatherings and political associations. You can't say you're not allowed to gather together and trade influence, and also I can't say you're not allowed to pay him for whatever you want to pay him for. Like, you're just not allowed to do that legally as president. So it's limited. But expanding the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act really set the precedent. Like, we're really not going to do this anymore. You're going to take a civil service exam. You're going to be competent and qualified if you're going to get at least some federal jobs. Like, there's still a bunch on the table for patronage and favors and all that, but Garfield started to chip it away. Now Cleveland is really continuing to chip it away, and people really like him for it because it's corruption.
It's
they don't
more
like
of a
it.
man of the people,
Yeah.
kind of a soft populist kind of thing.
Yeah, and not because like he asked the people what they wanted and they told him and he did it. It was, I think this, and they're like, sure, yeah, do that, and then he just went and did it, and they're like, cool. Now that bites them later.
We'll get to
in his second term.
Yeah, the
but
second term.
Right now, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so he kind of comes in and is basically, very limited government. It's interesting. He's very limited government. Wants things to be done more at a state level. Even some things where it's like,
The Fed should probably do that, Grover.
yeah, it's like, okay, wow, that's really taking a really important issue, like pension
Oh, yes.
thing with
The
Civil War
pensions.
So he wants that to not, basically, Civil War veterans shouldn't get a pension from the federal government. It should be through the states. They should be the ones to figure that out and hand the money out and everything. And so that's a very non-popular thing on the Republican side, especially because they were part of the Union, and you have a Democrat saying, so it's kind of some of that.
And
you
they're
can
federal
see the
troops.
logic with it, but
Yeah.
also, they're federal troops, and it's kind of, is that really necessary?
Is this the issue you want
Yeah,
to take on,
right.
Grover?
So that one is pretty split. Not so popular on with everybody, but it's kind of a man on principles. Like, he's a very pro states' rights, anti-corruption, tough on crime. That's going to come also with things that are like, okay, technically that fits under that bubble, but
You're kind of stretching it there, Uncle Jumbo.
and then he removes, this is the irony of it. It's like limited federal government. The president shouldn't do much, but he also revokes the Tenure of Office Act.
I want to be able to fire them.
Yeah, if anyone
I want.
remembers, that's how they were able to impeach Andrew Johnson, because he fired his Secretary of State, and which was illegal to do. The president can't fire someone in his cabinet unless Congress approves of it, and so he says, which is a dumb thing.
It's a dumb rule.
But so Grover does, a pretty obvious thing of, okay, come on, like the president, if you want the president to be able to get stuff done, he has to be able to fire people and replace them.
Yeah, he's able to choose his closest advisors.
Right, yeah. So it's kind of funny how it's really limited government. The president shouldn't do much, but we're going to give the president more power over here. So not that he's like double-crossing himself or anything, but it's just kind of an interesting philosophy.
We're expanding his human resources power.
Yeah.
Which is, whatever. It is what it is.
So, which I think is good. There's already, sometimes it's one of those, at least at this time, obviously the president's not supposed to be able to do much and everything, but it does come a point where it's like, yeah, but they have to do something. Yeah. They can't just like be shackled down the entire time and be like, oh, that's so great that we have a president who can't,
Who does nothing.
Yeah.
Why do we have a president again? I don't know.
It does show that the president as an office is still getting bigger as these little things. So it's interesting as you kind of go in order and see how all these things play out, where it's like, yeah, that rule is kind of dumb. The president should be allowed to do that. So we'll just take that away. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that rule is a little dumb. Let's do that away. Okay, let's get that one away. You do those in a sequence of 50 years. It's very reasonable. If one person sat down and said, I want to take these three things out, they'd be like, oh my gosh, you're just like, the president is having too much power.
He's a tyrant.
This isn't a monarchy. This is so it's interesting how just seeing that play out in real time.
It all depends on if people like you or not, what they're willing to let you get away with if you're likable. Which Cleveland wasn't necessarily likable. He was just consistent in a room full of snakes.
Sure.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also first president to get married in office.
Yes.
So he was a bachelor, as we kind of mentioned earlier, and all up until his presidency, he ends up marrying someone who's like his friend's daughter.
Yeah, his business partner when he was a lawyer, he died a few years ago, like a few years back, and his daughter, Cleveland kind of was paying for her living and all that stuff, and then he just married her.
Yeah.
So that was weird.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the. I mean, I guess to be fair, if that happened today, that would be insane. But
would be
back
crazy.
then, it was still.
It was less
like
crazy.
Yeah, it was still far enough to where it was like, oh, that's kind of a little weird.
Yeah.
But not as different as it would be today.
No,
So
people-
it was like
people
kind of
still
riding
got-
the line.
Yeah. People still got married pretty young, and
Or at least with far age gaps.
yeah,
Like that.
When like
She was like, 20, and he was well into his 40s or 50.
like
yeah.
early 50s, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more like it was just unusual to have someone who had never been married
Yeah.
to then get married, and then it was to such a much younger woman who also he knew, and it was an odd thing. But there was a wedding at the White House.
Yeah, first wedding at the White House.
Wasn't that great? Lovely, lovely. What a lovely day.
But yeah, it also, like I said, with the media is now starting to grow, ends up being a big boost in morale for his image. Media really takes this on, and she becomes like the first celebrity. She was treated like a celebrity,
Yeah.
basically, and so
It is interesting. We'll have to dive more into first ladies because I think it was probably Jackie Kennedy who became like the idea of what a first lady is. I could be wrong, but that's like the first lady that is like, I host the parties and I choose the silverware and the plates and this, that, and the other, and it's like America's wife, America's kind of like matronly figure, I suppose. But there were famous women before.
yeah.
But it just the ad.
Before this, I mean, we haven't really talked anything about any first lady except for, I guess, Martha Lincoln.
Yeah, Mary Todd,
Oh yeah,
Martha Washington.
yeah, Mary.
Mary Todd Lincoln.
Yeah, Mary Todd Lincoln. But
And that's because she was crazy.
yeah, and that was even more just because we reviewed the Lincoln movie.
Yeah,
we didn't even hear much about her during the
No.
Lincoln. Just our own.
If there wasn't a
personal
movie,
studies.
we never would have known.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess Martha Washington's kind of other than that.
And that's
but
just
even
'cause she was the first.
Yeah. I guess Abigail.
No.
Adams a little bit.
No.
Okay. She
No.
doesn't count for anything.
No, no.
I guess the only thing we should probably talk about a little bit is he's known for his use of the veto.
Yeah. Oh, Grover
This is
loved.
part of the limited government thing.
Grover loves to say no. He vetoed, and we talked about vetoing in the last episode or the one before that. Either way, basically, quick recap: Congress sends laws to the president, and the president can just say, "No, I don't want to pass that law.
Yeah.
I don't want. No, I'm not going to enforce that law." And he does what's called a veto. I think the president still has line item veto as well at this point too, which is kind of esoteric, not a big deal. Instead of just vetoing an entire bill and saying I'm not doing any of that, he can just say not this part,
Yeah,
not
right.
this part, not this part. I think that ended in the Clinton administration. But anyways, he vetoed more legislation than
Anyone.
than
So
every
400
president.
vetoes.
Yeah, any president combined before him. He loved to
Yeah.
say no. And you know what? I think that's a good glimpse. Like that encapsulates kind of him as a person, where it's like, if this isn't going to not even benefit the country, because like benefiting the country is subjective. If this is not in line with what the presidency is supposed to do, which is just administrate the laws that are on the books, if this is not having to do with that, we're not doing it. It's just a no. And if you really want it that bad, then override the veto. And it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those. This is kind of more talking in modern sense, but the idea of conservatism. The whole point is you want to conserve, and so a lot of what goes into that is just having the headspace to think, okay, we're going to pass this. What are the bad things that are going to come out of that? What's the trade-off in order to make this work versus the modern progressive approach, which is people need food. Well, let's sign this check and we just
whatever
give the
it
people,
takes.
and you don't think about, the trade-offs. You just think about trying to accomplish the mission,
Yeah.
basically. And so that's kind of his I guess philosophy is.
It is.
Thinking the trade-offs and like, okay, is this going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back? Because that means that's only 1 step forward, and that's not enough. So let's just not even bother with it.
Yeah, it does make sense, and it's a sword that cuts both ways on both sides.
Yeah.
Because if you are too cavalier with programs and spending and taxing, then you're gonna have a problem because people don't like to be taxed, or programs can expand in ways and affect people that you did not intend for them to impact. On the opposite way, if you just say no to anything and we're never changing our mind, we're not adding anything new. Yeah, we don't spend as much, but also the government is not responsive to things that are like, this is really important. We really need like someone in charge to help us with this. It's like, I guess you're just screwed then. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things that every president kind of has run into and has handled different ways of like, if a real crisis comes up, are you willing to do something out of character because it's correct? Or like will help, or you believe it will help, or are you willing to stick to your guns and say, hell or high water, I said the government's not going to do this, it shouldn't do this, so it's not going to do this, and then all the follow-on things that happen because of that decision, like inaction is action in some ways. Like choosing, not making a choice is choosing. So
Sure, yeah.
So vetoing legislation doesn't mean that the issue doesn't go away. It doesn't mean that the desire for that thing to happen goes away. It just means that it's not enforceable at this particular moment, and that has consequences maybe for your presidency, maybe in 100 years, but it does. Nothing's for free.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's call it there for now, and we'll move on to Benjamin Harrison and then the return of the king.
No.
I guess it's irony because he didn't want he used the veto too much.
Please don't say that.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.